This video is for Charles. Charles and I have had a interesting relationship that I provoked, Charles, not you. But for good reason. Anyway, so I wait to share with you how Charles is in the book. And it's the opening scene of the Book of Un. This is set some 20 to 15,000 years ago, at the cusp of, at the end of the Second Age of Man. And the Second Age of Man, on the Ouroboros that I shared with Charles, okay, the first age is the evolution us into Homo sapien on an island off the coast of Somalia. That's where Atlantis was. Atlantis, can't think of the pronunciation. It was land, and the Ouroboros came from that island. We are the Ouroboros. We are the Ouroboros. The prophecy of the Ouroboros was shared by Shigamatra, the Alpha and the Omega. And Shigamatra, the Alpha and the Omega, she was the Omega. And she's also the Alpha because she has the memories of all of the previous ancestors. And the Alpha and the Omega was the mammoth, and she was huge. And Shigamatra basically saw and knew that that man was the Ouroboros, but she didn't get to hear the full story because her mother is killed, which was the Alpha, right? Because she had the lineage of all the stories, and she dies before getting the full teachings of the story. But she got to the point where they arrived, and she understood the three sisters, and the three sisters basically rule the three empires, these three empires are, from the ancient, the Egyptians, the Africans, and it's not the Babylonians, but the other ones. It begins with an S, and I can't think of the called. Where Gilgamesh is from, right? So Gilgamesh, by the way, is Undaudu. The story of Gilgamesh is him traveling back and forth, delivering the messages of the Shadu, which was kind of think of her as the chairman, because in this opening scene where Charles is in, and you understand Charles was part of the five, and the five were Jokdu, which is Joseph, Joe Lupin's character. Jokdu is the leader. He's the strongest of the boys. He's physically just a badass, right? And then there are the twins, which aren't named, but you obviously know who they are, the twins. Okay. There is you, Chokdu, and then there is Mihai, which is Mihal Lisi, who's friends with Vital, best friends, right? They're best friends. But Vital's too weak. He's not a fighter. I mean, he's like the engineer. Vital is the inventor of the bone. The bone is the name of the handle for throwing. So he basically is a reincarnation. He created the most powerful weapon for mankind, and now he's redoing it again by basically ushering in what we call the blockchain. The blockchain, in fact, is the open innovation framework built on the blockchain. Like Bitcoin is built on the blockchain. The blockchain is just distributed ledger. Everything else, the clothing on it is OIF, the open innovation framework that he calls Ethereum. And there's many OIFs now. Cardano is an OIF, and I'm so happy Charles launched Cardano. I think he doesn't realize it, but he launched Cardano because of his interaction with Undaudu, this ancient mind spirit within me, that when I come in contact, it's kind of like the person gets infected by Undaudu. So Undaudu is the founder of the Mayan civilization, and he basically, in this story, is fighting Shigamatra, who is also, I have different names for it, but like Cthulhu, I think I have it actually I was working on this here in the book. So Aturandu Aturandu is Atlantis. Okay, that's the name of Atlanta, Aturandu. Okay, and the three tribes of man were the Du, the Nu, and the Ru. Right. So if you have the last name Du or Nu, right, and ultimately, if you don't have that in your name, it's because your father died and you take your mother's last name, right? And that's where Vital, his father, died, so he became a Tao, right? That doesn't actually make sense. I'm gonna have to think of that. Figure out how Tao, if you have an idea, how does Tao come in? Vita. It could be Vita, right? And the Somalians, Babylonian myth, yeah. The story of Somalians? No. This is annoying. Gilgamesh. You know, sometimes I laugh at my dyslexia, and other times I, you know, yeah, Sumerian. Fuck, Sumerian. Su. Maybe Uruk. Uruk is actually the name of the traveling tribes. The I get the Ru, right? So anyway, end of the story. So the opening scene is of 60 boys. They're all 6 years old, 9 months. They were all conceived 6 years and 9 months ago in this orgy affair with the chieftains at this very location. So this is where they were conceived, and this is where they were dying. But they don't know that. They just think that they must win, right? But in fact, it's the choice of the mystic, right? And she really hates Dao. Dao was the name of the boy. He was an already enlightened savant. He's a kind of cross between of John Wick. Imagine what John Wick would be at 6 years old and the Equalizer together, right? With, and he is just a savant. Savant is like Mozart. Any weapon he picks up, he masters. And he's gentle and he's kind and he's, mischievous. But, and you have to imagine this dugout area that's been transformed into this event, right? And it's the size of half a soccer field. And it's got torches all around it. And equally apart in this circle, okay, are the three sisters, okay, who hate each other. They hate each other. One of them, you want to think is the pagans, is the black magic, right? It's from Africa. That's the Shadu, right? And then her next sister, who is in Uruk, tribe of Uruk, right? Across the water. They follow the water. So tribes of men basically back then were just following the coastline and settling. And that is the Ru, or the Nu. I always get them mixed up. We'll put like little footnotes on this here, right? So yeah, the Nu. I was right, the Nu. And then Ru. That's how I remember Ra. And the youngest sister is the monotheist, believes in Ra, the sun god, right? There's one God, it's the sun. The sun gave life to everything, right? That's Ru. And she's the quietest, more gentlest, and she's in the Egypt area. And they travel. Basically, they're nomadic. They haven't settled down. They can't settle down because they're being hunted by the creature. And the creature in each one has a different name. So the creature to I'm trying to see where I've written their names down. I know I've written their names. I'm gonna bold some stuff here. It's Atlantis. Is Shigamatra, and Shigamatra is a foretelling. It's funny because there's a story of Shigamatra where she is talking to the Alpha, which is her mother, and she is playing in the water with dolphins. This is the opening of the second chapter, and her mother says, Shigamatra, come out of the water. You are not a dolphin. Come out of the water. And she's like, no, I am a dolphin. And she's 6 years old, same ages as Undaudu when he becomes, right? And she, and the mother's like, say, listen, the Ouroboros has come. The Ouroboros, is here. And you are the Omega. You're the last. You must deal with them, and you're the only one. It is prophesied that you are the one who will save and stop the Ouroboros from consuming the world. You are the one. You are the chosen one. And she's like, Mama, you're huge, right? You're the biggest thing. Nothing. You should go and stop him. You should stop him out, right? And the mother says, it's like, it's not that easy. He says, you see that termite mound? Stomp out that termite mound. If you can stomp out and destroy the termite mound and all the termites, then I will, do. So she goes and stomps, and all of a sudden the termites keep building up and stomps and termites, and she finally comes in from the dark, right? And, it's like, I can't do it. The termites keep coming back. Exactly. That's, And see, that's the foreshadowing of her, actually becoming that. She tries to stomp out and become the beast. She sees her mother gets killed, and it just kind of puts her off the edge. She doesn't get the full training. And so this enlightened creature, Shigamatra, becomes, the Cthulhu to the Dadus, to Shadus, and she becomes the Leviathan to the Ruse, and he becomes the Kraken to the Sumerians, to the Utals, right, to the Uns, to the Nus, right? And each one of them is saying, no, it's this creature. They're arguing, and the sisters are connected. So in this opening scene is the first time is this battle. And basically in this battle, you see Undaudu with his 19 boys around him. To his right is Jokdu with the twins and stuff, and Nihao's right there, Vital's in the back, and in front of him are the two adversaries, and there's a girl, young girl who's like this strategician master. Her name is Andu. A-H-N, Handu. I'm not gonna tell you who she is, right? Handu. So Handu is like she's the reason why they were able to kill the Silverback, right? And actually, Brockdu, which is Brock Pierce's character, didn't listen and nearly gets Dadu killed, and he's so broken up by it that he spends all his time taking care and tending to Dadu, and so Brock is on. He's like, and he's always like disagreeing, and always thinks that he is right and he knows the way, and why you listen to a girl. So in the scene, they wipe out, and I've got videos described. They wipe out everyone, and basically the way it happens is Dadu sprints in the Rue, right? Amazonian woman, right? Girl was massive. She looked like, she's only 6, but she looked like she was 8 or 9, 10, right? She was big, huge, faster than him. And he has to literally dive. He flips away the spear barely, just enough to get it, hooks his fingers because he dies. Her finger's right there, misses it, tips it up, spears her in the throat, kills her, goes into this body tuck, comes up, and then this guy, he locks the weapon that the other guy threw, right? And he's got all his men around, and he basically slays the number 2 guy. So the leaders of the 2 other families, right, are dead. And then basically, because he dies, he's counting, he's counting down, so what Anu says is, listen, you have to count to 10. Well, it ends up being 15. So he's like getting cut and beat up, and he's got everyone around him, and all of a sudden it becomes this, they come in and like a unit and destroy them all, right? Tactics. And he, he's there fighting because he's a super skilled, and barely survives and gets bandaged up. But then he's like, kill everyone, right? Then Shadu, who is the this ancient. No, she was there. She supposedly was the woman who came across. She's old, ancient, thousands of years old, and that dude at 6 years old said, "No, I'm not killing my brothers. I'm not going to do that." And so she's like, "You are you are Dao Du. You are not, right? Un means not. You are not the one. You're Dao Du. You're To someone is a very, to unravel, it's a very kind of negative thing. So she says right? And says, kill him, right? And the boys refuse, right? They're like, kill him. He is He is not one of your brothers, right? So so she's like, guards, kill him, and it's still the eclipse is going on, and the person has to be, the chosen one has to survive the eclipse, and ultimately, they're about to slay him when Brock Du stands up and says, "You are the one, Dadu. You are the one." And he takes his blade and just cuts his own throat. And Dadu goes down. It's like, no, like the guy that he saved now killed himself. So he's like, no, right? So he grabs him, and at that very time, Shadu is looking at Brock Du, Charles. Joe Lupin's character, right, who wanted to leave. And there's a great scene about him and Vitalik and how he actually wins, right, how Dadu becomes the lead boy, right, the head. And basically he sees Dadu's back, right? He makes a gesture to the guys, and he goes and throws, right? And this is the betrayal of Charles, and this ties to Ethereum, the betrayal of Ethereum for Ethereum Classic, right? So this is that moment. This is your moment, Charles. He stepped up and he was like, no, right? And basically he takes the axe into his chest, right? This 6-year-old boy kind of basically dives, no, right? And they were like, what? And at the same time, the twins are grabbing Anu and basically killing her, and and then Tattoo, another character, basically reacts and dies. So all of Dadu's friends are dead. He's coming in. The boys are like, I'm not in this. The other ones are like, I'm not going to fight. They recognize him, and there's a usurp of leadership, and Dadu just basically murders them all. Just slays them all in his rage. And the boys start chanting, Undao Du, Undao Du, Undao Du. And the question is, do they just kill themselves because they know he won't, right? To show their leadership, to follow Brock Du, who's like number 2, or does he slay them all in one swift thought? I think the boys kill themselves. They all follow. They do Harry, and they all kill themselves and collapse down. And Undao Du, he sees all his brothers dead, bleeding, and he's like, nothing he can do. And that's the end of the scene. He collapses.